All right. Hey, 6th hour. I'm Mrs. Williamson. Nice to see you all. Shout out to my 6th hour up there in the middle. Woo! Welcome to it's already day 3 of Writers Week 28. I can't believe we're halfway through this week. Let's hear it for all the presenters that have come through this stage so far. Woo! Just want to start by sending a quick thank you to a few groups. First of all, our Viking boosters who are very generous in helping us put this event on. The Fremd administration, faculty, tech crew, you guys are awesome. Fremd English department, especially Mrs. Enck and Mr. Anderson. And of course, all of you wonderful students here at Fremd. Thanks for being such great audience members. And we love you. Writers Week loves you. We know you love Writers Week. So we're going to keep doing this every year and get inspired, pick up a pen, type on your keyboard, get to writing, enjoy it. So it's my pleasure to introduce, we have a treat today, 2 Writers Week guests on stage. One will be arriving shortly. We have the privilege of meeting our first guest, Kwame Embalia. He is a husband, father, writer, a New York Times bestselling author, and a former pharmaceutical metrologist, which you can ask him about later. His debut middle grade novel, Tristan Strong Punches a Hole in the Sky, was awarded a Coretta Scott King author honor, and it's part of a series along with 2 other titles, Tristan Strong Destroys the World and Tristan Strong Keeps Punching. He is the co-author of Last Gate of the Emperor and the editor of the #1 New York Times best-selling anthology, Black Boy Joy. A Howard University graduate and a Midwesterner now in North Carolina, he survives on dad jokes and Cheez-Its. And our next guest who will be joining him is Mark Oshiro, the award-winning author of the young adult books Anger is a Gift and Each of Us a Desert, as well as their middle grade books, The Insiders and You Only Live Once, David Bravo. They are also the co-author with Rick Riordan of the upcoming Percy Jackson novel centered on Nico D'Angelo and Will Solis. When not writing, they are trying to pet every dog in the world. Here you are. Okay. I'm so excited for all of us to hear these 2 in conversation. Please help me in welcoming to our Writers Week stage Mark Oshiro and Kwame Embalia.
Are we sitting? We're standing?
You could sit.
I don't want to sit.
I'm only standing because the water pressure in that sink in that bathroom is the highest water pressure ever, and my pants are wet. So
You know what? I used that excuse a couple times too.
it's fine. We're good. We're fine. Oh, what if we just do? Oh, never mind. I'm gonna sit down now. Okay, never mind. I've been standing for 2 hours. Yeah, I'm gonna sit. This is great. Hi, everyone. Hi, Kwame. I haven't seen you in a while.
When's the Y'all Fest?
Y'all Fest?
Y'all Fest. How you been? Yeah, same. Sleeping?
God, no.
Same.
Oh, I'm on deadline. I have a book due in, what is today?
February 2nd, I think.
I have a book due on February 5th.
How's that going? You gonna make it?
No! Oh my God, no! I'm pretty proud of this. I have a reputation. I have never missed a deadline as a published author ever. No, you have to take that clap back because there is no way I'm finishing this book in 3 days. Like last night, I hit 80,000 words, and I was so excited because that's so many words. And I do this thing I use Scrivener. It's this wonderful project that allows you to write a novel. And I do this thing where every time I finish a chapter, I turn the icon into a green flag, so that I can see when I look at it, oh, cool, this is how much I've done. So I got so excited. It was like 80,000 words. That's amazing. How many more white flags do I have left? 35. So no, it's not getting, this book is going to be too long.
How long do you think your book is gonna be?
Well, I turned it in at 81,000. It was short, and my editor was like, it's too short. Like, there's so much missing from the story. Like, you just jump over periods of time, and she's like, I really think it'll be better if you flesh them out. And I think I accidentally added like 50,000 words.
So you just put a whole nother book into your book.
Wow, I hate that you described it like that. Mark, you just wrote a whole extra book. Basically,
Awesome.
I don't know how that's going to work. I'll worry about it later. I'm not going to worry about it.
You know what I've never ever forgotten? Every time I'm like looking at my word count or how far I have to go. Remember that time we were in Maryland and it was you, me, I think it was Tiffany D. Jackson, and it was Nick Stone. And we were in the hotel and we were just just writing.
Right.
And Nick was like, she was like, Dear Martin was 47,000 words and She's like, I don't think I've written a book over 50,000 or 60,000 words. And everyone just stopped and looked at her. And I think, single tears
Yeah.
slowly tracked down our face because we couldn't imagine. I haven't written a short book. Tristan Strong Punches a Hole in the Sky was 104,000 words.
Yeah.
For which is, pretty long for a middle grade. And I swore I would never do that again. And then the sequel was
And now look at him.
right there. Surprisingly though, the book that I co-wrote is the shortest book. And I don't know.
That's because you had another person to be like, stop.
We don't need this.
Please stop.
And
But you know what? I can't say that because the book I co-wrote with Rick is the longest book I've ever written now.
well, Rick's books aren't short.
Yeah, no, they're not. If you've ever read a Percy Jackson book, you know those are dictionaries, right? Those are dictionaries.
They're
Great
tomes.
dictionaries. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to get called out on social media. Mark calls Rick Riordan a dictionary. School event. Anyway. How are you? What's going on with you?
I'm tired, man.
I'm so tired.
I'm exhausted.
Same.
So I am.
I love that we're really great at motivating people to become
Yeah.
writers. How are you doing?
You should be a writer. It's
I would like to
exhausting,
perish. That'd be great.
Stressful.
Okay.
I don't think I've eaten since what's today?
They just told me and I already forgot. Okay. Yeah.
Our memories are shot.
Yeah.
Um,
But be a writer, we said.
No, it's Wednesday, right? No, is it Thursday? It's Wednesday.
It's Wednesday.
Time is
Is
a
an
construct.
illusion.
It's ephemeral. Yesterday could be 2005. It could be, last week.
Do you
I
still
don't
do
know.
that thing where someone says something happened in 1999 and you're like, oh, that was 5 years ago? Because I do.
No. I
Okay.
am.
It's just me.
I am distressingly.
Meanwhile-
reminded.
Now that I said that out loud, there is no one sitting in these seats who was born in 1999. They were all born after it.
And then there's no one. We're the only. Raise your hand if you were born in the 1900s. We can say
Oh,
that now.
how dare you
We can
say that.
now. Who was born in the 1900s? Yes. There's all of 8 of us. 8 of
Yeah.
us. We were born in the previous millennia. It's
I
amazing.
did a school visit in Brooklyn where a kid asked me what it was like to live through World War II. Did you know we're not allowed to fight children? It's not allowed. I found out that day.
We have been reprimanded for that.
Yeah, it's fine. Let's talk about actual writing.
We have to.
No, we don't have
Okay.
to. This is our hour. No one told us, by the way, what we had to talk about.
We
we're
were
just
given no
You're getting an hour of
instructions.
pure chaos. This is also one of my dearest friends who I haven't seen in forever. I
Yes.
mostly want to ask you about, how's your family doing?
Uh,
Kwame has the most beautiful family I've ever seen in my entire life. It infuriates me.
they.
If you're sorry,
Um,
I'm fine.
I don't think there is a week that has gone by that my toddler has not had to take a trip to the doctor's office. He is, listen, it's his own fault. I blame him, He insists upon being himself. And
Yeah.
it is terrifying. I liken it, okay, this is, all right, don't take this out of context or whatever. But
Put this on
toddlers,
Twitter.
they're like zombies.
Oh.
If you've ever seen the movie World War Z, and you've just seen how the zombies would just hurl themselves off of buildings, off
Yeah.
of cars, that's a toddler. He has no sense of this isn't safe. He's just there's a couch, I'm gonna climb it, and obviously I'm gonna keep walking like some cartoon character in midair. And I'm no. So my life is filled with diving catches
Yeah.
of saving a toddler from impending doom, trying to get him. He does this thing where he saves his food for later, and we never know where he's like a squirrel. He'll take a chicken nugget, a dinosaur nugget, which are delicious by the way. He'll take a dinosaur nugget and stuff it in between 2 books on a bookshelf, and only he knows where it is. It's following the scent of 2-day-old nugget, right? And we get there and we find him just in the corner chewing like a chipmunk on this dino nugget. That's my life. So it's he goes to the doctor, he stores his food, occasionally naps. I might do an hour of writing, and then it's back to the grind of figuring out how to save this toddler from himself.
Well, I mean, so that is my question too, and this is the cheesiest segue, but I am actually genuinely interested is I think one thing that's interesting about being a writer is how we carve out time and how we figure out how, because I think one thing a lot of people may not realize is that writing requires such an intense amount of concentration that I often find I can't be doing another thing and multitasking in the way I can for many other things. So how do you carve out time during the day? Does your family know, like, these are periods where, I mean, obviously the toddler, as I'm saying this, I'm like, oh, your family doesn't care. Your family probably interrupts you every 5
They
seconds.
don't care at all. The number of times my 7-year-old has like booted the door open of my office as I'm in the middle of like a school visit or a virtual school visit or just, in the middle of a writing session to show me this picture she's drawn, that now I have the responsibility to decipher what it is she's actually drawn without offending her. She's like, oh, that's an excellent horse you've drawn there. And it's like, no, Dad, it's like you eating cereal. And I'm like, which was my second guess, right?
You're like the principal on Abbott, or the teacher, what's his name?
That I have never related so
Yeah.
hard. I don't know if you've all watched or anyone watches Abbott Elementary. You should.
Perfect.
It is amazing.
Perfect show.
But yeah, he has to decipher I don't know if it's first grade or kindergarten, students' pictures. And it's like, you want to be nice. It's brilliant. The colors are striking, visual. I love, that person you've drawn with, 5 legs. It's just like, no, that's the sun. And it's just like on an everyday, it's like, all right, that's wonderful. And then I have I have 4 kids. I have a 2-year-old or almost 2-year-old. I have a 7-year-old. I have an 11-year-old who is obsessed with anime and manga. And I have a 13-year-old who is obsessed with not speaking until or between the hours of 4. She tells me 2 things that I can count on her to tell me each day. It's what's for dinner and why isn't the Wi-Fi working. Those are the 2 sentences. No good morning. No how is your how are you doing? How's your writing coming? This is how my day was going. It's what are we eating? Maybe when are we eating it? And then why isn't my Wi-Fi working? Are the 2 questions I get from her.
Those are the only 2 questions I ask myself during a day, all by myself.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
Mark.
When am I eating? You have to cook food, Mark. You have to do it yourself. No one's.
The number of times I've forgotten that breakfast was a thing. Like you wake up and I'm in the middle of feeding other people, right? And I'm just thinking about, all right, what's on today's
So
agenda?
it's just the wild, wild west in your house. Like, you got to find time to write whenever you can find it, like in these little pockets.
So what I always tell people is you have to find whatever works for you, right? And it sounds so. Some people were like, "Oh, I need Microsoft Word, or I need Scrivener, or I need this," and I'm like, "You need whatever helps you write. If it's 7 sticky pads and a crayon, if that's what gets the words flowing, then that's what you use to write." And I learned that actually from my mother. My mother was a writer. She's also an English professor, but she also raised 4 of us and was taught full time. And she still found the time. She wrote an English textbook. She wrote novels or whatever. And she told me she would get up at 5 a.m. To like jot notes down, and then throughout the day she carried sticky notes with her, and she would just, if a thought or an idea or a plot or a character came to her, she would jot it down, and then she would stick it on the side of her desk. And then Saturday morning, when we were obsessed with cartoons, the Saturday morning cartoon lineup was phenomenal, and Fruit Loops, and we were taken care of, she would go compile all those notes and write them. And I know that she didn't, we were, and 3 boys and 3 sons and a daughter, we were absolutely chaotic. I have apologized so many times now that I have 4 kids to my mother. I was like, I am so sorry. I know what you have gone through to some extent. I apologize deeply. But yes, there is no set, this is from the hours of 10 to 2, Kwame is in the office writing. Because I might be in the doctor's office, or I might be traveling, or whatever, might be grocery shopping. And so I've used my phone, the notes app on my phone. I've used sticky notes. I've used a legal pad. I have Scrivener. I have a portable word processor that I can just sling into a diaper bag whenever I'm chasing the toddler around the house. So whatever gets the job done is what you need to write with. That's the only obligation you have, is to find whatever helps you write, and that and to use that tool. Don't let not having that tool or a tool stop you from writing. If it's like, oh no, my laptop battery died, but I have this great story idea, find a pen and paper and jot it down. You're like, oh no, I have to buy a new license for Microsoft Word or something. Open up Google Docs and type out your idea. Don't let these obstacles of I don't have this particular implement stop you from writing the story, because you never know, that story could be absolutely incredible and what the world needs at some point in time. Not you. You write. You finish writing because you have a deadline.
I mean, I do like it. I feel like we're talking about it as if it's a burden. It's, but yeah, I think having a deadline has made me faster. I wrote my first novel while I had a full-time job, and so I had to do the same thing. And for me, I was living in Oakland when I started Anger as a Gift, and so I would bring my laptop onto the BART train when I went into the city. I lived in Oakland, but my job was in San Francisco, and so I would have those 20, 25 minutes where I would always also take the train in an hour early because there were less people on it, so I could have a seat. I would write in those 20 to 25 minutes, and then there was this park outside my office where I would sit there for another 45 minutes, and I would write. And then during my lunch break, if I felt inspired or I was in the middle of a scene that I needed to keep going, I'd spend 30, 45 minutes writing there. I'd write on the train ride home. And so, yeah, it was all about, like, finding these little moments. So my first book took 5.5 years. Like, it took a long time because I just had this whole other career, and I wasn't sure the book writing thing was going to be a thing. But now, especially being a full-time writer, like, I can write books pretty fast. It's a thing. I wrote, if you saw any of my presentations earlier, I got to write a Star Wars book that comes out this year. And I'm going to say this, not as a thing that is a goal that you should have, and I still can't believe I did it, but I wrote that book in 5.5 days. So yeah, I'll take 5.5 days over 5.5 years working on a single project. But that was also, I literally checked myself into a hotel and ordered room service so that I could not move. And part of it was writing for work for hire instead of an original idea. Like, you have to turn around books in an extremely short period of time. Like, we had 1 month to come up with the idea and the outline, and then the book was due March 1st, and my outline did not get approved till like February 11th of 2021. And so I didn't have a choice. And so I just was like, I'm going to check myself in a hotel, and then I'll do room service so that I don't even have to think about food except what I'm going to order, and just sit in my seat and just write. And every single day I wrote like 9,000 words. I don't want to ever do that again. It was exhausting. But yeah, like sometimes it's you carve out time, and then sometimes for me, like right now, I'm on this terrible deadline, and it is just, I do my workout in the morning, I answer emails over breakfast, and then I sit in one seat from like 12 p.m. Lately, it's been till like 2 or 3 in the morning. For some reason, my brain has been writing best from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m., which what a scam. Like, that's when I want to be playing video games or like relaxing, but it seems like lately the creative juices flow the best in the middle of the night. I don't know why, but it just happens sometimes.
All right, let's switch gears totally, because I want to talk about some of the stories you've consumed versus created, and we're going across genres here.
Okay.
All right, so we'll start with books, but we're also going to do movies. We're going to do video games. We're going to do shows. What is the doesn't have to be the most recent, but one that immediately comes to mind when you think of, I need everyone to read this book?
Actually, it is very recent because I had never finished the trilogy. I'd only read the first book, and I read all 3 of them last month in like a 2-week span. About 4 years ago, this horror movie came out called Annihilation with Natalie Portman. If any of you have seen it, it is a trip. It is a film. Um, it is one of the most viscerally uncomfortable experiences ever put into cinema. And I had read the first book of what is called the Southern Reach Trilogy by Jeff Vandermeer right before that movie came out. Love the book, watch the movie. They are both the same story, but all the details are different kind of thing, where it's Alex Garland's interpretation of the book. But when he wrote the script for the movie, the second book wasn't out. And so I just never went back and reread the other ones. And in early January, I was like, I need. And I talk about this a lot too, as a recommendation for people who are writers is, and you may have heard this before, and I'm going to repeat it again, you have to refill your creative well. You cannot just write every day and not intake art as well. It is a two-way, back and forth, reciprocal thing. And so I knew that this revision I was doing on my next YA book was so intense, and I needed just something else to not only distract me and give me a break, but like I just wanted to see someone else tell a story. And so I read all 3 books in about 2 weeks, and it is masterful. Some of the best writing I've ever read in my life. If you're not familiar at all, the Southern Reach Trilogy is about a place called Area X, located in southern Florida, where a mysterious event has happened, where a thing called the Shimmer has appeared around a wildlife preserve, and it is about this group called the Southern Reach, who has authority over this land. No one is allowed in, and the first book, Annihilation, is about the scientist who is part of the 12th expedition to go into it, because only 2 people have ever come back out. One of them being the very first director, and the second one being her husband, who was part of the 11th expedition. And it is a science fiction horror night. That series, there are things in those books like I'll never forget. But also from a craft perspective, it was fascinating to read it, because I think writing kid lit can sometimes feel like a little restraining, like there's only so far we can go in books or whatnot. And I'm so glad I read that, because I feel like I've changed the approach on this book, and I use the word feral a lot lately. Like I feel like I told you when you came in, I was feral the first hour because I hadn't seen people, but I really feel like it unlocked this part of like, no, stop feeling restrained by this book, just do the thing that you want. And so much of my writing in the past couple of weeks feels so raw and real in this way that I don't think it would have happened if I had not read that. So that's my answer. And yours is?
So you went really like deep and
Oh, no.
introspective, very, very serious. My 11-year-old has recently like plunged headfirst just into manga and webtoons and stuff like that. And so, I'm always curious about what, the audience that I'm writing for is reading at that age. But then I remembered how much I really loved Naruto when it first came out. And so I have been rereading just the original Naruto manga series. And just because it's amazing, like we see, what is it? Is it Boruto that's out right now?
Yeah.
And we see how far he has come as a character. I love looking at characters and character arcs and character change and seeing how far Naruto has come. And then you go back to the beginning where like everybody treated him like absolute garbage. And to see how he still maintained his love for his community, for the people, for the village, through all of the negativity and everything that was aimed at him. It's an amazing, it has some of its flaws that don't hold up today, but it still, just from a character perspective, I love reading the origin of him and how he has grown. Yeah. Just because it is I think, a masterful job of plotting that out and plotting out challenges that are escalating in nature for him to overcome both internally, physically, and externally as well. I'm going to switch. I was going to go movie next, but I'm going to go video game. And not just like, I'm not just talking about just fun, the most fun video game. I want to talk about the best video game that you can remember story-wise. Playing through a video game story and just being, if you need a second, I can go before you.
What is, I'm going to say the name, and I'm going to describe the game and hoping you remember the title, because I can't remember it. What is the game that basically makes fun of Ayn Rand? Bioshock?
Is it Bioshock Infinite? No.
No.
What is the game about? Like,
It's funny because I can remember the story twist more than everything, so I don't want to say it and spoil everyone.
he said, just spoil it.
Come on, stop dancing around it. I want to say it's Bioshock. Bioshock is the weird steampunky
Underwater.
game. Yeah, underwater. Yeah, and the whole time you have that voice in your suit that's telling you what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the first video game I ever played where the story was a function of the video game, because there's the twist at the end that all the things you've been doing that are a function of playing a video game are actually you being manipulated. And I remember it was the first time I realized you could do that weird meta stuff with a video game, because I was so used to a video game is you play something, you have a cutscene, there's story, there's lore and things you do it. That was the first game where the video game turned on the player, and I remember feeling so betrayed, like when the voice reveals like, oh, this phrase. I can't remember what the phrase was, but he says something, and that was always when the menu came up to make a decision. And in the story in the game, that phrase was what he did to like brainwash you. And so you don't even know as a player you're being brainwashed by someone. And I just remember finishing that game and just being like, I didn't know you could do this. I just didn't know you could do this, and I loved it. I don't think Bioshock Infinite had the same level of meta nature to it, but that was when I was like, for people who say like, video games have bad stories. I'm like, okay, so you just don't play video games then. That's all that's on me. So, yeah, Bioshock.
For me, it was a tie. Then I went back and replayed one of them, and it turned into a clear front runner. It was a tie between The Last of Us, the first one, and then the most recent remake of God of War. But because I am a mythology fan and I went back and replayed God of War, and from the outside looking in, it's just, it's a hack and slash video game. You're fighting monsters on your way to the top of, a mountain or whatever.
Yeah.
But in the interior of the game and the story is about a father reconnecting with his son as they go to scatter the mother's ashes, right? And their growth and separation and eventual, growing together, what they've been through, what father gave up, what the son never had, and how they overcome their differences and moving forward to work as a team to accomplish, this one simple goal. The only thing they want to do is scatter, their mother / his wife's ashes at the top of the mountain, and all of these obstacles that come as a result of it. That you realize, it's not spoiler because it's in the beginning of the game, all of the monsters and everything that arrive come because the wife insisted that for her pyre, when she's cremated, they use these specific trees. And it turns out that these trees are a part of this guardian barrier that's keeping, these malevolent forces out. And so by taking those trees away, she has made him break this barrier, which is almost like a metaphor for him breaking the barrier that he has around himself to let, family and caring and nurturing, enter, that he's been holding himself distant from his son.
I have to admit something. You're going to be so mad at me. But it's fine. I'm doing this. Okay. I love horror. And you know this. In fact, we have a group chat where literally me, Kwame, and our friend Tiffany D. Jackson constantly recommend and swap horror movies and horror books. We want the best of the best. And I've watched and read some amazing things because of you and Tiffany. I have been reading and watching horror since I was a kid. I read Stephen King's It when I was 8. There is almost nothing in the world that actually truly gets to me. In fact, I am at such a level that my goal is to recommend things specifically to break Kwame and Tiffany, which I've done now twice, and I'm very proud of that. One was Hereditary, and getting to watch you and Tiffany experience that in real time was one of the greatest treats of my life. And then last year on my birthday, I got to do a writing retreat with Tiffany and my friends Terry Benton and Antoine Eady, and there we watched this movie called The Dark and the Wicked, which I'm going to let you know now is one of the most deranged things I've ever seen in my life. And at the end of it, she literally was like, I'm going to fight you, Mark. I'm so mad. And I say all of that to say that I cannot finish The Last of Us. I have never played a game that has caused such innate anxiety in my... If you've ever played The Last of Us, I don't feel like I'm alone in saying that that game is terrifying. And in part because the game's format forces you to wander around as quiet as possible. And as soon as something starts clicking, I'm like, I'm good. Like, my fight or flight instinct kicks in, and I'm ready to, like, burn down forests. Like, and you cannot be the loud shoot. And I tend to like games where you can just shoot wildly. Like, that's why I like the Borderlands games, because you don't have to sneak around at all. It's just, oh, someone's bad, shoot him in the face.
Please don't take that out of context.
Marco Shiro, young adult author, tells students to shoot them in the face. Okay, there's literally a mission in Borderlands called Shoot Him in the Face, and you meet a guy, he tells you to shoot him in the face, you shoot him in the face and you win. That's the whole mission.
I don't think that's what the organizers.
That's now my
of the
answer
Rider
for the
Week-
best video game I've ever played is Borderlands 2, because you get to shoot a guy in the face and get paid.
The,
That is not a personal thing that I want to do in real life, for the record.
sidestepping all of Mark's tangents. But the reason I always ask these questions, and I ask them to students, I ask them to everyone whenever I'm doing a school visit, is because these are all different forms of storytelling.
Yeah.
Writing specifically. Someone wrote and scripted, the BioShock, the Borderlands, The Last of Us, the God of War. Someone wrote that and scripted that. Someone, obviously you have the author illustrators who are writing the manga, Naruto, Jujutsu Kaisen, if you're a fan of that. And obviously you have the writers of the TV shows like Abbott Elementary, or the movies. Like, I always go back and watch any Denzel movie. Recently, oh my God, Macbeth. Yeah. He starred, and obviously that was written by Shakespeare. It's adopted by the director, but Denzel stars in the tragedy of Macbeth, which is an absolutely amazing movie and adaptation of the play. But I always talk about these different styles and forms of writing to point out that as writers, you're not strictly limited to, all right, sit down and, you're going to create a novel, right? Or a short story. That's what you're doing. That's you as a writer. There's so many different avenues now of storytelling, of being a writer, of creating these stories that I didn't know exist. I didn't know exist at all. And I always like making, people aware of that, just because they have these assumptions that, all right, writing is getting assigned this essay for this, English or language arts class. That's the extent of it.
Do you ever think about how we'd be really good at writing essays right now?
It depends on what the topic is.
No,
If
I think I could bullshit any essay right now.
any
Like
essay,
any
any
essay.
topic.
Who has an essay due right now? I'm not going to write it. That's not where this is going. But, like, what's an essay someone has to write?
shout it out if you have one. Do. Epigenetics. Okay, now this is. Can you do that, Mark? Can you do that, Mark?
Let's move to
No,
questions.
I'm not even gonna ignore
Does
it.
anyone have any questions?
No. I am. Who has the epigenetics essay?
No.
I'm a bio major. That's what I want.
I didn't even know what that sounds fake. Like,
we're gonna talk about this epigenetics.
No, we're not. No.
You said I heard that you could BS any essay, and I want to hear you do this epigenetics.
Is it EPI genetic? Is that how you spell it?
Yes.
Is it the genetics of epinephrine pens?
So you know what? That's the extent of our time here. We're going to wrap up on that. No, if there are any, let's do questions. You want to do questions?
Yeah. Genuine questions that don't have anything to do with epigenetics, because I don't even know what that is. I swung so wide and missed so hard on that. I'm very
you
proud
set
of
yourself
myself.
up for that one.
All right. Someone break the ice. I believe in you. Over there. Oh, no.
Oh no! We can really talk about this. We could talk about this. The sheer panic that
Should we describe what Y2K was?
I guess we have to define that.
It just was, everyone thought the world was going to end because computers couldn't handle turning from 1999 to 2000. And
Banking systems would crash.
yeah, which it could have, but scientists and mathematicians, they all fixed it. Like, people actually fixed what could have been a real problem. I think the worst thing that happened was, like, one clock didn't work.
But man, the weeks leading up to that, the
Oh,
doomsday
yeah.
preppers were living their best life. We told you computers weren't the future. Me and my shelter full of 3,000 cans of
Yep.
baked beans. Who's laughing now?
I'm just going to be down here with me and my dog, Tad.
Living
I don't
our
know.
best life.
Someone's got a dog named Tad.
Whittling.
Yeah, it was weird. It was one of, I feel like,
Wood carving.
to be slightly serious, but not slightly serious, I feel like the book banning thing that's been happening in the last 6 months is the first major panic we've had in a while. Because growing up, there were panics about everything. I feel like once every 6 months, the world was going to end when we were
Dungeons
kids.
and Dragons.
Yeah, we had a very famous one called the Satanic Panic, which my parents were very big proponents of, which they believed everything was demons and Satan. I told a kid in my last thing that I talk about Pokemon a lot. I'm an adult convert to Pokemon. I was not allowed to even look at Pokemon because my mom thought Pikachu was a demon. She thought all of them were actual literal demons, so I wasn't allowed to like associate with them. It's really funny now. But yeah, like I feel like the Y2K thing was like this huge panic.
I'm just picturing like Squirtle popping up. Squirrel, back, I say.
It's dark-sided. Wow, I haven't thought about Y2K in a long time. Thanks for that. Now I feel old. All right, who's up? Who's next? Right up here in the aisle. Yes.
What's that game called? Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War?
I am not good at those games. I think the most shooty games, I don't even know what they're called, first-person shooters, I don't play any of those except for Borderlands, but that's on the sillier side. And I just started playing Back 4 Blood, which is really good. If you like zombies, it's really well made. I have never played a Call of Duty game in my life.
I'm sorry for your loss. Black Ops was pretty cool. However, I am a fan of the new crop of specifically the Battle Royale games. Less Fortnite. I feel like that has become really kind of commercialized. But if you want to delve into Apex Legends, I'm your guy. I am a diehard Octane main, and I am happy to allow anyone else to battle for second place. Clearly, we know who's going to take first place. Warzone is okay, but I didn't really get into the Black Ops version of Call of Duty.
Can I have to ask you a question.
Yes.
What did you think of, oh God, what was that show, Arcane?
Arcane, phenomenal. Has anyone seen Arcane here on Netflix?
Oh my.
Absolutely amazing
I have
show.
no knowledge of League of Legends at all. Have never played 1 second of it.
Neither have I.
Let me just tell you, Arcane is one of the most perfect shows on the face of the planet.
I've watched it 3 times.
It's so good. It's amazing. Wonderful.
Question. I saw someone over here. Yes, Mike.
What's that?
What's the Star Wars book you were talking about? Mark? Spill it. Spill the beans. Come on, get in trouble.
I mean,
This is for the children. We're
it's
talking
fine.
literacy here.
It's not announced until Friday, but I showed parts of it in my presentation earlier. I got to write a middle grade book set in the Star Wars universe that takes place. It is not based on the show The Mandalorian, but it takes place at the same time, so that's the era of it. And it is the book that is, if you saw the big Nintendo Direct presentation about a year ago, they previewed that the Switch is going to get its first Star Wars game, and it's the book based on that. I got to write the canon for it. It is the coolest thing I have ever done in my entire life. Percy Jackson's pretty cool, but like I had to write a Star Wars book, and I got to work with Lucasfilm, which is just, if you're a nerd, that is like the high standard of like, yeah, it is the coolest experience of my life. Like I loved it so much, and it comes out this year, and I'm very excited about it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I'm gonna go right there in the back. You're really excited.
Ooh, be careful.
Did you say be careful?
I did say be careful.
I'm not going to be careful. I'm going to be reckless. I want to say something that makes people hate me. No, the answer is I am one of the rare humans who got a PS5, and I really, really love it a lot. So it's PS5. I actually haven't played my Switch a whole lot, but I did just buy the new Pokemon game, but I'm not allowed to play it until I turn my novel in, because I know the second I start it. Someone described it to me as Pokemon meets Breath of the Wild, and I was like, oh, no, I cannot.
Just like
I
that.
cannot start this until I have no work on my plate, because it'll be 24 hours a day. I won't eat or shower, no bathing. Like, I am become a disgusting funk of Pokemon. Like, I'll become my own Pokemon.
I don't know. You could have just stopped.
I'm going to keep going. Okay.
20 seconds ago.
So my answer is actually PS5. I love my PS5. Okay, you call someone.
Favorite movie? Oh. I don't know what it is with today and talking about zombies. But I rewatch Train to Busan like once every season. I think that is such an amazing. I don't know what it is. Well, I do know what it is. I'm a father, and so shows or movies or books that are about fathers who are horrible, learning how to parent and be good, really, really resonates with me. So Train to Busan is probably really, really up there. And I'm sure I'm forgetting a bunch, but I think that's the one I've watched the most frequently over the past 5 years.
I've seen so many. I don't even know how to choose it. So I'm just going to choose my favorite movie of 2021 was Night House. The Night House. It is an independent horror movie starring Rebecca Hall. It is perfect from beginning to end. It is a movie that opens with a woman coming home from her husband's funeral, and you find out in the first minute that he committed suicide, and she comes home to their empty house and discovers that there is an identical house to hers across the lake. There you go. Have fun. It is a nightmare. It is perfect from beginning to end. Oh, it has a... It's great. So the Night House. That's my answer.
Also, the Demon Slayer movie was really good.
Yes.
Are we close to the end?
Thanks for
Good?
listening
We're
to us,
done?
friends.
All right, we're done.
We're so
Thank
glad
you.
to be here.
Thanks, 6 Hour, for being a great audience. If you want to come down and say hi to Margot Shiro and Kwame Embalia, one more round of applause for them. Woo!